Buonasera, hello world, Monday night webinars. Welcome back, my friends. I can't believe this is the fifth episode of the Monday night webinars. We started a few weeks ago, just by chance, and eventually here we are, PandeMedia, and exploring the post-pandemic world, exploring the lockdown age, Monday night webinars to retrieve the Marshall McLuhan's tradition of the Monday night seminars. And so here we are, Monday night, 8 p.m., from the global village, technically from Toronto and from across the world. Here we are to explore what's going on, explore who we are, what matters to us in this crucial moment, right? And eventually, in response to the state of emergency, crisis, opportunity, we want to think in terms of opportunity. Well, in response to that opportunity, we are here exploring what's going on around us. All right. I see you're connecting as usual. It's great to see you on Facebook and YouTube. So we are live streaming on the Marshall McLuhan Facebook group and on the YouTube channel, the McLuhan Institute YouTube channel, thanks to the generosity of Andrew McLuhan. By the way, hello, Andrew, if you are there. And there is room for you folks to comment, to join us. Feel free to share your comments. Feel free to say hi and even tell us where you are in this moment, who you are and where are you. Okay, so you are very welcome to say hi on using the Facebook comments or the YouTube channel if you log it in on YouTube. And in fact, hello David Nussbacken will be one of our special guests in a few weeks. Nice to be here again from somewhere, David, between Toronto and Ottawa, right? So I see somewhere. Hello. Again, and if you are on the Marshall McLuhan's Facebook group, be reminded to in order to show your name and profile, just authorize, you have to grant StreamYard the permission to just grab your name and profile. Otherwise, it will be a kind of anonymous comment, because technically the Marshall McLuhan Facebook group is a private group. And so to show your name, just visit streamyard.com/Facebook. It's super easy, no issues in terms of privacy concerns and everything. So just grant the permission to grab your name and profile, and so you will be joining us. And so I see Robert Blichman, hello from Forest Hill, of course. Sal from Toronto, thank you for joining us again. Of course, Alex Kuskis, the mind behind the McLuhan Galaxy blog. You can see my kids around here, so it's nice that we celebrate every Monday night this special occasion. Elaine will join us as a special speaker in a few weeks as well. Hello, Elaine. Thank you. Great for being here. And it's nice that we are, I think, International Alfonso from Cleveland. It's Memorial Day, by the way, in the US, right? It's Monday today. And well, great. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. I see you are coming. In the meantime, as usual, I'm going to warm up a little bit. Let me just say a few words about our next Monday night. Is going to be June the 1st. On June the 1st, we will have Kathy Adams, Caroline Ernest, Jacqueline McLeod-Rogers, and BW Powell. So we look forward to seeing them next week. Every week we have a great lineup of special guests, friends, speakers, right? It's nice. We wanted to organize these Monday night seminars, webinars, and again, as a way to, as a response to the lockdown. And so we wanted to slow down in a very relaxed climate, in a very relaxed atmosphere, to retrieve that sense of togetherness. This is very important. So now we are together on Facebook, on YouTube, from all across the world, retrieving the sense of togetherness, retrieving the sense of community, right? That makes us humans. We need to get together in any way, in any form, with any means. And so here we are to foster our sense of togetherness. In the meantime, oh la la, I see, I told you, all across the world. And here we have Elena Lamberti, Tender is the Night in Bologna. Hello to everybody from Elena and Martin. So thank you, Elena and Martin, for joining us. You can guess, it's very late night, I would say early morning in Italy, in Europe. So anyone else from Europe? Come on, guys, folks, let me know where are you. Let me know where you are. Ellie from Ottawa, please, just around the corner. Great. And who else? So just let me know where are you before getting started. I wanted to, again, warm up, waiting for you to connect. And I have a few special important announcements for tonight. So later I'll tell you more about a few initiatives, particularly one initiative to, continue the series of Monday night webinars. Hello. 807. We have a great lineup of speakers tonight and guests and friends tonight. In a few moments, I'm going to introduce one at a time all of them, so a virtual gathering. But you all, my friends, are part of the this live streaming, okay? In the spirit of peer and embracing discussion, feel free to share your comments. Hello, Jean-Francois. Share your comments, say hi, share your questions using comments on YouTube or Facebook. And in fact, from YouTube, we have Robert, Bob from New York City, Bernadette. Hello. Good vibes. Yes, we need good vibes. Thank you, Bernadette. Who else? Mordav Davis from New York City. A lot of from New York tonight. David. This is what happens. If you, David, don't grant the permission to grab your name, you will look like a Facebook user, an anonymous Facebook user. So please, to leave a comment, folks, on the Facebook, Marshall McLuhan's Facebook group, because it's a private group. In order to stream your comment, you have to grant the permission. So just visit streamyard.com/Facebook and click yes. Okay, so no privacy issues, just grabbing your name and profile, and it will show your beautiful face. You will show up on the streaming here. All right. And who else? Oh wow, from Moscow. I can't read Cyrillic actually. Alina, 3 a.m. in Moscow. So I appreciate your brave efforts. So all across the world, I told you. Great. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Aline. How do you pronounce Alea? From Moscow. All right, I think it's 8:01. I think it's time to get started, and let's. All right. Oh, by the way, this is my alter ego. Hello. I wanted to show you what's going on the back, right? So again, to create a sort of embracement and to invite you all to be with us tonight. All right. Great. Time to get started with our first special guest tonight. It's a great pleasure. He's a friend. He's a an outstanding scholar in the legacy of Marshall McLuhan and Marshall McLuhan's scholarship. The guest, the friend I'm going to introduce, is the author and co-author of several published books about media ethics. And he is a professor in the Emerson College. He is an independent academic and professional magazine editor, media ethics. Also, he has written over 100 articles and reviews, and recently he has served as an ethics expert for the United Nations, creating a new ethics curriculum for students and faculty worldwide. So very interesting. But among many other things, between 75 and 1975 and 1980, he was an assistant to Marshall McLuhan in Toronto. And so we are very curious to know more about this special relationship to Marshall McLuhan and special relationship to poetry and performing arts today. Again, there is a kind of special focus on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very, very pleased. I'm very happy to welcome into the Monday night webinars from US. Here we are. Tom, hello. How are you, Tom?
Thank you. I'm great. Appreciate it. I was part of the original Monday night seminars, so this is great that you're retrieving, updating, reversing, flipping the whole format.
Yeah, we are flipping, particularly flipping. Absolutely, not only retrieving. That's right. How are you, Tom? So again, how are you feeling right now? So where are you, by the way? Where exactly?
Yes, Boston. And since
Boston.
Since you invited poetry, I have a poem and can use that as a tease to go into some of the subject matter you want if you like. It's great to be with you. Thank you for your leadership.
We all like poetry. Absolutely. That's a great way to warm up. That's a way and to start up.
Yeah, great. But I do want to thank you for retrieving, for updating, for flipping, for making a brand new format here with so many friends participating, and all to the glory, in a sense, of not only Marshall, but everyone who's loved his work, making it exciting and all things new. So this poem was written about 20 years ago. It's called Mountain Beacon. You want to pretend that you're right where a major lighthouse is, looking out at the sea. And I think once I've read it through, it'll become obvious how it'll transition into some of what's happening now and into Marshall's world as well. I can see the mariners who sailed the seven seas, tempest-tossed and lost in the maelstrom. Sailors in distress, their SOS streaks the mist. As the beacon beckons back, hearken homeward. Farewell, foreign futures, perils past. The beacon stands above the sea of glass. You could view confusion spewing out the ocean stew as the crew scurry fro and to and leeward. But Captain Rock of Gibraltar never fails, falls, or falters, always looking forward, upward, seaward. Farewell, foreign futures, perils past. The beacon stands above the mount, reflected in the sea of glass. Wrinkled, weary from the wash and watch, the boatswain spots the seven seals who guard the heart of the harbor. Home, he cries, 100 seamen lift their weary eyes as 44 line the forecastle, port, and starboard. Farewell, foreign futures, perils past. The beacon says, dear friends, you're home at last. We're home at last. We're home at last. Welcome home, fellow mariners. You're not alone, friends and fellow mariners. Sounds the tone for fellow mariners to come home. Friends and fellow mariners. I can see the mariners who sailed the seven seas, tempest-tossed and lost in the maelstrom. Sailors in distress, their SOS streaks the mist as the beacon beckons back. Hearken homeward. So, although that was written 20 years ago,
Thank you. 20 years ago.
it's remarkably present in the sense that there is a maelstrom. And as you know, Marshall borrowed liberally from Poe's descent into the maelstrom as a primary metaphor. And at first, as you know, the person who was imprisoned in the boat only saw hideous terror in the spectacle. And in a moment of revelation, he saw that the maelstrom is a beautiful and awesome creation.
Pattern.
Observing how objects around him were pulled into it, he deduced that, and this is quoting from Poe, the larger the bodies, the more rapid the descent. And then Marshall wrote this in looking at it, and I'm quoting now from a Jamie Stantonian article, but this is Marshall being quoted within it. The huge vortices of energy created by our media present us with similar possibilities of either evasion or consequences of destruction. By studying the patterns of the effects of this huge vortex of energy in which we're involved, it may be possible to program a strategy of evasion and survival. So notice in all three, the poem and Poe and Marshall, that the pattern reverses at a certain point. At first, horror. Certainly any pandemic produces that, but then breakthrough. Now, how so? We're the lucky ones. So for many, there is no breakthrough, only suffering. So I don't want in any way to ignore the immense suffering. But for those of us contemplating this, and it is the age of contemplation, you asked that we each bring a symbol. So I brought the Buddha tonight as my symbol. And I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's a small contemplating Buddha.
Can you put it closer to the camera, please? Oh, okay, here you are. Right. Yeah, just a reminder, I usually ask my guests to bring a symbolic object to make sense of this. So you brought the Buddha. Why?
So this is a contemplative age, despite the chaos round about, despite the maelstrom in every direction, despite the confusion, despite the horror. There is the opportunity, as Marshall put it, but also as Poe put it, and also as the poem put it, to be at a different point in perspective. So, as Yoronda, the great spiritual thinker, put it, when you can no longer find a way out, you find the way in.
Yeah.
You find the way in. Or as an anonymous friend of mine put it, we're all monks now.
That's nice.
We're all monks now. So the value of stillness, apparently some Belgian scientists did some research and found that the ambient noise in the earth is reduced by about a third, the human noise that comes from traffic and airplanes and so forth and so on. So stillness as metaphor, but also as individual possibility, brings us back to Pascal's, I think, brilliant breakthrough that all human problems reduce to one. Our inability to live quietly in one small room. We seek distraction. So what happens when the maelstrom reduces and presents all distraction? It's the flip. There is the major reversal from externals to internal, and the major reversal to that one central theme, all of man's problems reducing to one. What do we do with the time, space, introversion, possibility, creation, subtraction of much consumerism and much external orientation, industrialization, all those things? And I'm going to call it, paradoxically, the age of unmasking.
Unmasking. This is something that we will, it will resonate again tonight. So I'll tell you later. Right. I like the idea.
But you see even celebrities out of their natural context now at home with kids crashing into the living room, which was supposed to be a makeshift studio. Models and other celebrities wearing little makeup, no fancy props or costumes, few special effects. And it reminds me of a great call we had way back in the 80s when a number of people were participating, many of them McLuhanites and next of kin, so to speak, and others who were thinking scientifically. And there was this great call for all the people who are participating in a giant teleconference to imagine what the world would be like if we had world peace. You know, those great world peace events. And so you had all these leading thinkers, Peter Russell and all those people, contemplating and giving the usual platitudes about what world peace would be like. And suddenly we had someone come on the call who said, you know, what would this bright utopian future look like? And he said, it would be if everybody would just drop it.
Yeah, that's impressive. I think many. Thank you, Tom. Thank you for bringing, for starting up this Monday night webinar.
Well, let me say what I meant by that, though. I apologize for interrupting, but
no, go ahead.
The age of dropping the mask, if you think about it, all the things that we can do to pursue a false persona, including all kinds of entertainment and theater and all kinds of things, suddenly become stripped, and we're forced to look in the mirror and something drops away. And so the metaphor of the mask going on while the mask comes off is very McLuhan-esque to me. And I have another story about that, but I don't want to dominate. So those are some themes for me.
All right. So I think it's a great way to start up. Then we will be back to the idea of masking and unmasking. And I'll tell you why. I cannot reveal the surprise yet. However, thank you, Tom. Thank you for creating the right climate for a relaxed and contemplative, meditative webinars tonight. And we will see. We'll see what happens. I think tonight, we're going to have a lot of different insights. This is going to be very diverse webinar tonight. So you did your part already. I'll be back to you in a little while. In the meantime, I'm going to bring and present our next guest. Okay, I'll see you later, Tom. I'll see you later. And in fact, here we are. So the idea is that, again, so we do share and bring insights. In the meantime, let me say hi to Phyllis, Mike Plug. Mike will be with us in a few weeks. Andrew, the McLuhan Institute. Andrew McLuhan, the McLuhan Institute, which is hosting the YouTube streaming as usual every week. Sal again, Marty in upstate New York. Hello, Marty. And Steve Hicks from Toronto. Steve, tonight I'm going to share what you sent me. And by the way, folks, feel free to reach me out if you have any insights, ideas. Just send me an email. I would be very happy to gather ideas from you all for the next Monday Night Seminars webinar, but also even tonight. So you can reach me out on Messenger, Facebook Messenger. So drop me a message on Messenger, and I will be able to read it and bring your ideas. Okay, so this is a very interactive night, so I want to really bring you all with me. Okay, and technically I can even bring your video. If some of you wants to join us on video, I can. So just send me a message, a private message, and I'll do my best to really make this Monday night webinar engaging, and I really count on your participation. Okay, in the meantime, hello Andrew Mir. He will be with us. He will be with us again. Good to see you all. Great. So let's be back to, let me clean here. Right. All right. Let me back to our second guest for tonight. It's a great pleasure. Again, we started already talking about poetry and the art of performing the human dimension, the humanity of our sensitivity. And in fact, here we are, our next guest speaker. She was born in Winnipeg, so Canadian born of Russian Jewish heritage, actually. And she's a poet, cultural theorist, and video and performance artist, as well as the award-winning author of 5 books of poetry and poetic theory, dedicated to the interplay of conflictual dialects, aesthetics, textures that impact on the construction of feminist and cultural identity. Her articles, reviews, and dialogues on contemporary poetry, poetics, and cultural semiotics theory have been published worldwide. And also, let me add that she's a pillar in our media ecology community, in the Media Ecology Association. By the way, the annual convention is fast approaching, communication choices and challenges. So we are going to explore in depth many of those themes. And so it's a great pleasure, it's a great honor to have with us and to welcome into the Monday night webinars ADEENA KARASICK. Hello, ADEENA. How are you?
Hey, Paolo. Hey, everybody. So fun to be here.
Hello. I like your dramatic opening. I like it. So thank you for bringing some good vibes. And by the way, say hi to ADEENA. All right, herds are coming, and so feel free, folks, to say hi to ADEENA. So thank you for joining us. Where are you, ADEENA? Where are you right now?
Thank you, Paolo. I'm sequestered here in the East Village in my New York apartment all by myself. I've been here for 2 months without a hairdresser.
I see. Me too. You see.
So it's been quite a while. I actually was in Cartagena 2 months ago when everything broke. And I got on the last flight out of Colombia. I was hanging out literally blocks away from where Marquez wrote Love in the Time of Cholera. So it was very, very bright with, everything. And I literally had to pay off some government officials to get on the last plane out before everything shut down. So I've been here ever since, and spending my time working and writing.
Are you writing? Are you performing online on Zoom?
I'm constantly thank God for Zoom. Thank God for this technology, because on June 7th, I'm doing a thing out of Israel. I've been doing things out of London, and all over the world. Thank God. So it's very. I really miss the viscerality of human experience, but we do what we can. And
what's your creative mood? So are you composing, creating, writing this period?
You know what, I have to say, it's almost embarrassing, but it's given me an opportunity to really focus on all the things when I'm so busy traveling and teaching that I don't have time to do. So I'm working on the Salome Woman of Valor CD. I have made a number of poetry videos. I'm working on a new book. And so it's been a very, very rife period. I just miss people.
And me too. I miss a lot of people. That's why I wanted to put together this Monday night webinars, right? We needed to find ways of sharing our humanity. And by the way, so I'm curious, what's your companion object? What's your secret? What's your prop?
Well,
what's your
in the midst of all this, I made this. Wait, where is it? Oh,
all right.
Made this.
Tell us more about it. Yeah, I can see that. Tell us more about it.
Because I miss flying. I spend so much of my time on airplanes and touring and traveling, and I feel so bad. So my new book is about the airplane and how the airplane is structured like a language. And it's like a love letter and a lament to the airplane who's now stuck, all alone in the runway. So
all right. And talking about airplanes and travels, let me say hi to a Facebook user. So please reveal yourself from Rio, Brazil. And by the way, be reminded, if you want to see your name and profile on the stream, grant streamyard.com/Facebook, folks, grant the permission to use your name and profile. And so again, so traveling. So, but we need to make sense of this. Alfonso Lacan, I hear Lacan. Any comment about Lacan and resonating in your words, according to Alfonso, at least? Okay, yeah, it's a very intimate reaction. So thank you, Alfonso. So about it was talking about travels and traveling. So you said your next book is about the idea of traveling, right?
Well, it's interesting because I think about the McLuhan quote. Well, it's a little bit of a mashup, but the McLuhan quote that the airplane is an extension of the body. And so really taking this as a base, it investigates how the airplane is structured like a language. Definitely, ripping off of the Lacan, the unconscious. So that's so great that you mentioned that. And I was just thinking, like how in the wake of the airline crisis and during this pandemic, as it's this border blurring poetry and analysis and Bispo, which if we have time later, I'll show you. And it speaks the way both individuals and meaning get transported to multiple and sometimes unexpected destinations.
Huh.
Right?
Yeah.
And so basically how the airplane becomes a symbol of hope, flying through a variety of zones and registers, soaring to higher and higher levels and leading to radically transformative possibilities of pleasure and power and promise.
I see the airplane as a non-place, a non-lieu. You see the idea that there are threshold places where you can cross some boundaries and you are nowhere, by the way, right? So you are nowhere on the plane. So I think it's a nice set. And if you don't mind, maybe later, so on a second merry-go-round, if you want to share some poetry, I think I can speak for the whole folks on Facebook and YouTube, but we will love to hear some of your poetry. Okay? All right. I'll be back to you in a little while. Thank you, ADEENA. Thank you very much. I'll be back to ADEENA, but I'm going to present our next special guest for tonight. It's kind of revelation. It's a surprise, and I must to confess, I wanted to do that since a long while ago. I'll tell you why. So our next guest speaker, in fact, is a Montreal-based actor, improviser, writer, comedian, and teacher with an illustrious career that spans 3 decades and a multitude of media. Stage, studio, keyboard, and classroom are all his own. And he has appeared in feature films with Ben Affleck and Samuel Jackson, and has had recurring roles on TV series. And maybe most of you will remember him as a member of the Vestibules, a Canadian sketch comedy group, perhaps best known for the Dr. Memento show, and perhaps in the Marshall McLuhan's community, best known, the Vestibules, for along with Paul Paré. And by the way, hello Paul, I know you are watching tonight's webinar. Along with Paul Paré, Bernard Deniger, the Vestibules, he made the Vestibules was known for making the Ballad of Marshall McLuhan. By the way, I think I had here the Vestibules in the Marshall McLuhan's community, well known for the ballad of Marshall McLuhan, you may be familiar with. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm very, very happy to welcome into the Monday night webinars Terence BOWMAN. Terence,
Hello.
welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Finally, you are in the epicenter of the Marshall McLuhan's community all around the world. So thank you.
I know, and it's amazing because I only have one claim to fame in the Marshall McLuhan community, and that's that song. The only connection I really have. Yeah.
And so no, that's why I want to confess. I wanted to really get in touch with you, with all members of the vestibules. I really wanted to again know more about that famous ballad. There is a nice video and a video clip on YouTube. Well, it's something that inspires creativity and imagination. So I wanted to know more about that. I will ask later about that. However, where are you right now, Terence?
Right now, I'm in Montreal.
Montreal.
I'm in. If people know Montreal at all, I'm in NDG, which is Notre Dame de Grâce.
Okay.
Which, interestingly, during this pandemic, the Quebec Minister of Public Health warned people about coming into my neighborhood because we have a high incidence of COVID-19 in this area. So I haven't left my house in 2 months, and I exaggerate slightly there. And yeah, that's where I am right now.
And are you performing virtually? Are you writing? Are you making sense of this lockdown age? So what's your feeling right now?
To make sense of it.
Contemplation, as Tom reminded us.
Yeah. What I've been doing a lot of recently is actually I'm teaching online. And that's the first time I've ever done that. And
what do you teach? Comedy, theater?
Yes. I've been teaching improv comedy specifically. That's one of the things that I know and that I teach. There's a lot of I do teach acting as well. I've taught writing as well. But right now I've been focusing on improv, and it's a really difficult medium to work with. When you get these Zoom calls and the sound is going out and it's coming in, and it really makes me think about, you know, the just how much the mediums that we work with, going back to the McLuhan thing here for a second, it influences the way that we work. Like, I'm constantly comparing the experience to when I'm in a class and I've got the students who are like right in front of me like that, and it's, you know, it's there's so many exercises and stuff that you can do that, you know, rely on people being able to interact, and you have to change everything to teach online. And yeah, that's kind of fascinating.
You're right. The medium in this case affects the way we communicate, we teach, we interact, we play, we perform. So last week, actually, we've been talking about digital theater. So how theater is responding to this state of isolation. So I'm bringing theater using new means such as Zoom or other online platforms. So I think, it's time to experiment, right? It's time to learn something new. It's time to find opportunities in this kind of crisis, right?
Well, yeah, that's the interesting thing, is we don't have a choice.
In fact, exactly. Any other choice. I like that.
You got to do that, because you know, one thing I've been really fascinated by is I've been watching, and I don't really watch a lot of them, but I am now, the Stephen Colbert and Saturday Night Live and all these guys who are suddenly doing shows like this out of their house and don't have an audience. And you'll even hear, you know, some of the comics on Saturday Night Live when they're doing their weekend update, which is their like fake news thing. They'll even comment of, boy, it's weird without the audience, isn't it? They're actually like breaking the fourth wall, to use a theater term there. And so this is just fascinating to me, because it changes stuff so much, and you just have to adapt to it, because this is what you got.
Yeah. What do you think about Miles? Miles from YouTube said you do not have a body via remote learning. So and even you don't have a body as an actor, maybe.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out what he means by that.
In fact. Sal, welcome, Terence. I'm the fellow who asked you years ago for permission to make a video and so on. So we did a lot. That video was great. But did you, who made that, that nice video clip, the nice stop motion, which is on Facebook, on YouTube?
Yeah.
Who made that?
Good question. I don't know. That's a fan video. We never actually made an official. We did some videos of some of our other songs, but we never actually made a video of the Ballad of Marshall McLuhan. But the fans have come in and done that for us.
I see.
Yeah.
And it's a very clever interpretation. And by the way, I cannot technically. So I mean, I could technically screen an excerpt from that ballad, that song. However, I'm scared that Facebook or YouTube could shut down the live streaming because of copyrighted material, all these things, right? So
I give you permission.
I know, but you have to talk to the Facebook and YouTube algorithms, right? They don't know that you're granting permission, so they are pretty stupid. So as soon as they see or hear or listen some music, they stop and ban and shut down everything. However, it's gonna be a little bit risky, but I want to make this experiment. I'm going to play a very short excerpt of that ballad.
Okay.
Backward, in reverse. The kind of Beatles, kind of satanic verses.
Yeah, I'm not responsible for whatever messages that kids get from this.
Right. No, because I can prove there is a kind of message hidden into that ballad, and maybe we will find out tonight live on Facebook. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 8:42 for the first time ever. There is a technical term for backwards
masking, I think it's called.
Backmasking. So for the first time ever, backmasking the ballad of Marshall McLuhan. Let's see what happens, and hopefully Facebook or YouTube will not recognize that we are streaming some copyrighted material. The backmasking ballad of Marshall McLuhan. Enjoy. All right, beautiful, huh?
Yeah,
beautiful.
Absolutely.
So we're still
other meaning.
Great, we're still live, so they didn't shut down us. So hopefully, all good.
Yeah, I can tell you how it goes. Hopefully, they won't shut me down. I can tell you how that goes forwards. It's Marshall McLuhan. You've got the best insights into mass media this side of the Rio Grande. I think that's the part we were hearing backwards.
Yeah, it's the main thing over there. And can you see that there is a guitar, by the way, over there, right? You see it, right?
Oh yeah.
Just in case I have it, okay? Just in case I have a guitar over there. So my twin brother over there, hello, can help out, okay? All right. Of course, Mike said must destroy media. Right, nice. That's a good pun. And I see a few comments. And by the way, so thank you again, folks. So feel free to share your comments, your questions, your ideas. Okay, so is a way to engage you all. Okay, I really count on your participation. And by the way, so thank you, Terence. We have another guest, so I'm taking a little bit too easy tonight. So, but I'm enjoying so far, and even more for the next with the next speaker, we will enjoy again. So I'll be back to you, Terence, later in a little while. Okay. Thank you. And so here you are. Here we are. There is an intruder. I see on our surprise. That's a nice surprise. Okay, so first of all, now our next guest speaker. Where it is, it's a friend, is a professor of communication and media studies at Fordham University, with an honorary appointment as chair professor of Henan University in China, and was the 2015 Harron Family Endowed Chair in Communication at Villanova University in Philadelphia. He is the author of several books, just to name a few, on media ecology as a field of studies, on bias of time and general semantics, and most recently, media ecology, an approach to understanding the human condition. And let me say that he is a pillar, I would say a founding father of the Media Ecology Association, a founder actually, and founding father of our scholarship in the Media Ecology Association. So I'm very proud to host and welcome into the Monday night webinars Lance STRATE from New York, right?
Hey.
Hello. How are you, Lance? How are you? And are you in New York, right? New York City?
No, I'm not.
Sorry.
I'm in the New York suburbs in New Jersey.
Okay, somewhere there in New Jersey. Great. And so, how are you feeling right now? So, what's going on there?
I'm okay. It's been a kind of stressful time. I know people are either very busy right now or they have nothing at all to do. I'm on the busy side. I'm desperately trying to get an online course ready, recording lectures for it. And that's been kind of stressful and taking up all my time.
I see. So you are teaching right now and getting
Not
ready
right
for
now. No.
No. Recording. Sorry, recording.
Yes.
Asynchronously teaching. Great. And what about your writing, compositions, or any other creative or non-creative work? So it's a kind of a contemplative moment for you. What's your feeling about that?
Well, it's not, because I'm, when I'm not working on the class, there's all these Zoom meetings, with our department, and also with my congregation. It's just nonstop, one thing after another. But I do think that the lectures that I'm recording for this class might be the basis for another book. And at the same time, I've just put together a collection, my second collection of poems, and that should be coming out. We're just sort of a little bit of disagreement over the cover design, but otherwise it'll probably be coming out within a month.
Great. So
Amazon and so forth.
Nice. We look forward to seeing your poetry book and maybe even your video lectures someday. One day you will be able to share. However, let me say
they're not video lectures. They're just.
By the way, so let me say that I don't know if you are able to see the comments. Your bird is sparking creativity and comments. So all people appreciate, our friends and colleagues. So we like it. I like it as well.
Quarantine beard, yes.
Quarantine beard, yeah. You see, I have the quarantine haircut actually.
It looks the same as always.
Exactly. That's good. And Karl Marx style, Andrew said.
I was really going for Moses, but that's okay.
Moses, good. And the Boogie Ray, Elena Lamberti from Bologna. And so great. Now you see. I think we are even in this quarantine, in this kind of mode and mood. we are even changing the relationship to our body, ourself, our clothes, the way we present ourselves to others, right? So I think it's a challenging and shifting moment in the way we project ourselves to the others, right? To others. So I think I see in myself, in you, and all the friends happening, right?
Yeah.
And so thank you for joining us. And I'm not sure you have some poetry to share, maybe later. Some it's
Sure.
up to you, Lance. Okay, so I don't want to push you, but of course, tonight we are going to spark creativity, poetry, poetics, all to go to the global village. So from Brazil to Europe to Italy to New York and New Jersey. So we will populate our global village with hopefully with some poetry. So if you don't mind, or anyway, so
No,
feel free
sure.
to share. Okay, Lance.
Okay.
Do you have your companion symbolic object, your prop, your? Do you have something?
It's right here, isn't it?
All right. Okay.
I mean, here.
And of course, yes. We started already talking about the mask and unmasking. And by the way, so there is a secret. I see a secret guest on the green room. Surprise, which is Tom Gencarelli. Tom, what are you doing right now there?
I got on late, but I'm happy to be here and finally tune into these Monday night events.
All right.
Thanks
So
for
Tom
having me.
Gencarelli, another pillar in the media ecology community. So we have bunches of. Okay, stay there. So where are you? Where are you in New York area somewhere?
Yeah, I'm across the river from Lance, a little bit north. Yep.
All right. Okay. And how are you doing? How are you feeling? What's your mood? Your
Well,
feeling?
we're okay. You know, things are calming down here a little bit for the moment in the New York area. But we're, concerned about the world and monitoring everything that's going on. And again, it's good to have a connection with people. If this is the way we need to do it, this is the way we need to do it.
Great. And we have a few hi from Mateus, Mike, Wilson, Bob. So lots of friends that love you.
Yeah, I just looked onto the comments. It's nice to see everybody. It's great.
All right. So, and now it's time. So, thank you, Lance. Thank you, Tom, for sharing. First, merry-go-round. Then we will. I'll be back to you all, particularly in the second portion of this webinar. So, what's going on here? All right. So, let me say this. It's 8:53. I see. A few friends connecting, and again, so feel free to share your thoughts. I'll be able to bring you into the stream if you want to share some of your insights for tonight, Monday night webinar. So I wanted to briefly be back to Tom. Tom, are you still there? Yes, you are.
Hello.
I see you. And sorry, I made a mess here. What's going on? All right, here. And you wanted to share something about the unmasking concept? No.
Well, the story I told about
the story.
Yeah. Part of a great teleconference many years ago, when everyone else was giving lengthy explanations of what they thought a positive future would be like. He said it would be if everyone just dropped it. And you could hear a pin drop around the world. There were people on from many, many countries, and everyone got it. That if the pretenses and defenses and social programming and everything just dropped, what a different world that would be. And for better or worse, the coronavirus has forced a lot of that. Position means less, fewer people are wearing makeup. That's a metaphor, that's a symbol. and we're forced to confront our inner reality in deeper ways. We may seek to avoid that, but I mentioned Pascal's dictum. But I wanted to mention something else that's not nearly as profound as Pascal or any of the spiritual thinkers or others who go into contemplation. It's a piece of children's humor. Marshall loved to deconstruct humor.
All right, go ahead, go ahead.
Find hidden patterns there. You may recall he said, though he's never quite humble, there's no police like Holmes. He loved to take the inverted cliche and in one era and out the other. Don't worry about streaking, it's just a passing fanny. All those kind of things were Marshall's multi-level, multilingual tribute to Joyce and others who he had loved so much. Joyce had written gin a body, meat a body, coming through the rye. And Marshall deduced from that gin a body, meat a body, coming through the rye, wine, women, and song as another level. But he also got into the scansion of it. So a joke I was told as a child was one of those campfire jokes where the counselors are trying to scare all the little kids who are around the campfire. And the joke went something like this. A man was living in his New York apartment up on the 50th floor, and he got a phone call, and the phone call was, "I'm the Viper. I'm 50 miles away." And then you can see all the little kids getting scared about what the Viper is. And then he gets a phone call a half hour later, "I'm the Viper, I'm 20 miles away." And then he gets a call again. And by the way, I'm not doing justice to the voice of the camp counselor. He'd say, "I'm the Viper, now I'm 2 miles away." And you can just feel all the little kids. We were there huddled, wondering what was going to happen. "I'm the Viper, I'm on the ground floor, getting on your elevator," and so forth and so on. And so this man is petrified. He doesn't know what to do. Finally, there's a knock on the door. It's like Hitchcock. He's full of fear, has no idea where to turn. He says, "Who is it?" Trembling. He says, "I'm the Viper. I've come to vipe your windows." Now, kids, of course, immediately were relaxed from that, but it was also a horrible punchline. But in fact, it's, and you can just feel all the little kids shuddering around the fire and hoping the counselor won't tell another story like that. But it's the world. Everyone fears what was 50 countries away in China, and then 10 countries away, and then 10 villages away, and then 10 blocks away, and then mortality in one's own neighborhood, and so forth. Everyone feared the Viper, and rightly so. But it turned out to be spring cleaning. It's the Viper coming to wipe certain things away. And it's Earth's way of countering certain counterterrorism by human beings toward it, and so forth. Something is changing beyond the ability to be discerned by humans, but there's always a corrective factor in nature, always a counterbalance, and so forth. And so the structure of a little piece of humor that actually at a superficial level is rather trite, has within it the classic horror story formula where things get worse and worse and more intense. And then there's a twist of some kind. And we're in the midst of that. And the pandemic can either be the worst of times in Dickens' terms, or the best if one sees it use the word opportunity, to finally weed one's garden and be clear of clutter and go straight to what is essential and ask questions like, so why am I here? And what's the purpose of this? And am I getting on with it? And how productive am I? And what are my relationships really like? And which ones have I been screwing up? And am I going to pay attention to those? All of those inner questions. And Marshall had a deep spiritual side as well. He often masked that because he had to be one person in public and another in private. But that is coming to the fore now, whether people acknowledge it or not. And I think it's very important. The Viper has come in the guise of the Viper to clean house. And there's something very remarkable about that.
Yeah, that's very impressive. And well, thank you again for bringing this kind of vibes into tonight webinar. And I think we need to now compliment, thank you, Tom,
You bet.
with Adeena's poetry. Okay, I think the best response to this state of contemplation brought up by Tom with a kind of, again, interpretative, expressive insights, poetic insights. To again, it's 9 p.m. Perfect. What a perfect time to introduce some poetry finally into the Monday night webinar. So, Adeena, I'll give you the floor. All right.
I'm going to read two little pieces. One, I'll read from Media. Fly me by night to the river, derive over the rainbow. Fly me faster than angels, so fly as the sky, flying without wings, as sparks fly en fleurage. I was born to fly, so fly with me through the flux of form, through refueled folly, volley, bales, walls, volley, rebae, all luminous, voluminous, free flight and fly, flute me by the seat of your palms. Fly me like a butterfly, fly as flamingos fly in the coop, fly free and fly blind, buttress from the inside like a flying fuck on the fly to the moon over the dateline as the sky flies awake.
All right. I do the applause for the whole folks at Tom and Folks. Feel free to make a round of applause virtually if you wish, using your comments, your Facebook or YouTube comments. So let's be creative, right? In this expressing our emotions for that. So thank you, Adeena. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I just want to say, it reminds me, I don't know, somebody, Terence, was bringing up Saturday Night Live, and it's funny, I'm watching Bill Maher, and he infuses into his thing like a laugh track, like a video laugh track, so that he doesn't feel so alone, which I think is really useful.
Yeah. I do agree, absolutely. And so we have many thanks and waves from our folks there. All right, Adeena. I think it's time now to. I'll be back to you, Adeena, in a little while. But Terence,
Yes,
it's now finally. It's. I can't resist. I can't wait to ask you more about. That ballad, right? So
Okay,
that's the
sure.
main point tonight.
Yeah.
So how you and your fellows in the vestibules came up with that ballad? What's the genesis of that beautiful and creative piece?
Well, thank you for that. We had, as I remember, it was like 1990 or 91, I think, when we actually wrote that song, quite a while back now. But we had been kicking around the idea of, because the first thing, my degree, and this is where I met Paul and Bernard, we were studying communications at Concordia University in Montreal.
Oh.
So we got a lot of McLuhan.
In the 80s, early 90s, 80s.
Yeah, we were there in the sometime in the 80s. And we got, like, we would refer to it as McLuhan studies a lot of the times, because that's just so much of what we got. And so, the kind of obvious thought that kept hitting me is, because we were all huge pop culture freaks, and I still am. And so, of course, the Western connection of just the fact that his first name's Marshall, and that's, you got your Marshall Dillon, and you got your Marshall whoever, Cahill, U.S. Marshal, John Wayne. Boy, I'm getting obscure on that. So, that idea. So we kind of kicking that around, and then it was actually CBC Radio. We were on a show called Primetime at the time, and we were regularly writing sketches for them, and they were doing a McLuhan week, and they wanted us to do something on McLuhan, and we had no ideas. We were just kicking around. And then we finally went back to, well, there's the Western idea that we always had, and then that was it. We just sat down and wrote it and did it. It was it's one of those things in the creative process where once the idea is there, once you finally hit on the idea, you just go, you know.
Yeah. And by the way, have you ever performed live that ballad in concerts,
Yes.
shows?
Yeah. I actually used to do the vocals for it live. And we wouldn't do it in every show because, you know, you're in a Friday night, midnight show at a comedy club with a bunch of drunk people, and this song about this Canadian intellectual that nobody really knows, it's not gonna fly. But we would get booked into, like, I remember there was a convention of journalists at one point that we did a show for, and they loved it. They just ate it up. And the communication studies in Montreal had their anniversary. I think it might have been 20th or 25th, early 90s, and they booked us, of course, because we're all grads. And that's probably the best that song ever did, is we did that song. We actually closed the show with our Marshall McLuhan song, which is not something, I don't think there's any other place in the world you could close a show with the Ballad of Marshall McLuhan.
Yeah, you did it, right? Probably. Great.
Yeah.
And well, that's very nice of you for sharing and your thoughts.
Sure.
I wanted to show your, by the way, your quote, your Marshall McLuhan's quote, right?
Yes.
So I put it in two parts because it didn't fit into the first part. Yeah. So loss of identity is something that happens in rapid change, but everybody at the speed of light tends to become a nobody. Second part is that this is what's called the masked man. The masked man has no identity. He is so deeply involved in other people that he doesn't have any personal identity. Well, do you see yourself in this kind of masked man, Terence?
Well, it's an interesting quote because, first of all, it's one that I remember after all these years. And secondly, I've seen it appropriated in so many other places. Like there's in the comic superhero world, there's a graphic novel. I think it's Kingdom Come. I'm not sure. Anyway, and they use that quote at the beginning of. They have like a picture of Batman, and they use that quote of the masked man is. And my first thought was, I don't think that's what he was referring to, but I can see how you might take it that way. And on that thought is there's so much talk about masks right now and wearing masks in public and going out with masks. And I obviously this is in no way what McLuhan meant when he said that, but it just kind of resonates right now. You know, he is so deeply involved in other people that doesn't have any personal identity, because a lot of people are looking at masks as being this imposition on them, but as if it's somehow protecting them. But in actuality, wearing a mask is you're protecting everybody else. If everybody wears a mask, the likelihood of the contagion is much lower, right? So that's what I'm.
The mask as a means to cross identities, to overcome, and to take new identities. We started actually talking about that during the inaugural Monday night webinar a few weeks ago, just with Elena Lamberti. Elena brought as a symbolic prop and object a typical Italian commedia dell'arte mask. So the idea that mask is a means for reshaping, rethinking our identity, not just a way to mask, to hide.
And this is exactly what we have right now. We are rethinking the way that we go out in public, the way that we interact, the way our whole society is based on so much close interpersonal reaction, restaurants, bars, movie theaters. And so part of that, the mask is kind of part of rethinking that.
Yeah. I'm curious to know, thank you for sharing that. I'm curious to learn more about this from Lance. Let me see if I can Lance, about the idea of masking ourselves in this mediated reality, right? Let's say that the mediated reality is an expedient to mask ourselves and so on. What's your take on this?
Well, we all wear masks in the sense that we, following Irving Goffman, that we put on a performance. And I think it's very interesting that the kind of, I guess, going back to the Greek, the word person comes from persona, which means mask. But it also, the root is through sound, and masks were not just a visual device, but they were used to amplify sound. So we're talking about personics. And I think that's really, we kind of put on the mask, but we also find a voice and use that voice. And that's really much more part of our identity than, and you look at your face. I mean, these kind of mediations like Zoom is, I'm looking at myself right now, and it's very weird, and it's very it makes you very self-conscious. In normal sort of face-to-face situations, you don't see yourself, and throughout the day, you maybe look in the mirror occasionally, depending on your relative degree of concern or vanity or whatever, but your voice is with you all the time when you're talking.
Yeah. And voice is so much an expression of our identity, right? So you recognize a person's voice, which a unique sound, a unique, deeply identified.
When I was working on my PhD with Neil Postman's old media ecology program, in our methodology class, we had a student who was sitting in, who was part of the class, because the department at that time also included speech pathology and hearing and all of that, which is the way communication departments were back in the day. That would be incorporated. And I remember the woman was studying the effects of laryngectomies. That is, people, you can get cancer of the larynx, and then you have your larynx, your voice box removed. And what is the effect of that, apart from not being able to speak anymore, although there are ways that they get around it. But I remember very clearly how she explained that this was very traumatic, because we don't even think about how much our voice is part of our identity. So that's when we lose our identity. And if you've ever lost your voice temporarily, you get a little bit of that.
Or imagine
as an actor, that's a nightmare. If your voice goes,
imagine tomorrow morning you wake up with a different voice, so it's gonna be a shock, right? An identity shock, deeply identity shock.
Yeah,
that's so true. That's so true. And by the way, so because we are talking about sounds and the voice of visual identities, so the sound and visual identities. I want to make an experiment, bringing in ADEENA as well. I'm going to let me clean a little bit here. Okay, I'm going to show you something. This is an experiment. I think. And by the way, I want to thank Steve Hicks for sharing this. So basically, a few I think researchers and artists, they took the DNA. They took the DNA. Genetic code of the coronavirus, right? The genetic code of the coronavirus, and eventually they were able to turn the coronavirus genetic code into music. Believe it or not, they took the actual sequence according to some parameters, they were able to turn the whole sequence into music, and then eventually they made something. So I'm going to share. It's 1 minute. It's much longer. Actually, the actual sequence, I think it's 3 hours long. I just grabbed the 30 seconds, 1 minute. So this is the coronavirus musical sequence. And by the way, I'm gonna ask you for your comments, and even folks on Facebook and YouTube, feel free to comment. Okay. Let me see here. Coronavirus virus counterpoint of the spike protein. Actually, the spike protein turned into music. Enjoy. It's a kind of hypnosis, hypnotic music, right? So, who wants to start? Wants to go first? Commenting.
It sounds too nice.
I'll be right back.
Terence.
It sounds too nice. This is the representation of this thing that has shut down all of our economies and our jobs, and I haven't worked in 2 months, and it just sounds too nice for the havoc that it's wreaking.
What's your take? No, thank you for sharing your take, Lance. I don't know if you ever heard. It's probably first time. What's your at a glance reaction to that?
I prefer rock and roll.
I see that.
I'd rather hear Jerry Garcia right now than that.
And no, thank you. We have a few comments from Elena. Less scaring than real thing. Yes, it's pretty calm and very cool. Adina, what's your take on the coronavirus?
Well, it was
Coronasonic.
kind of beautiful. I wonder how, I'm very curious how they produced that piece or what they were using. Do you know, was it a conceptual piece? Do you know what was it comprised?
Yeah. There is a technical process for doing that. I was just going to Google and find the source of that. Here we are. Scientists have turned the structure of the coronavirus into music. I'll share the link over here. I'll share the link on. Let me see if I can make.
Maybe Tom Gencarelli can use this for his next album.
Yeah,
Tom.
Totally. No, but I was particularly interested because I also made a piece which was set to music, and I was sort of ruminating on the word COVID and how it was transliterated or homophonic with the Hebrew word kavod. And translated in Hebrew, kavod means glory, honor, and respect. And so, in Hebrew, when we congratulate someone as a Jew, we say kol hakavod, all the honor, or sometimes it means like good job. So, and sometimes we close a letter with the word v'kavod, which means with respect. And we need to respect this virus. So I thought it's so interesting how we go back to the language. When we go back to the language, it gives us all the information we need. Also, interestingly, COVID, is represented biblically by a cloud. And through a 13th century Kabbalistic lens, kavod refers to Shekhinah, which is the female revealed aspect of God, symbolized by the lips and the word and the mouth and the wound and gates. So it becomes these gates of entry, literally gates of entry. How we contract this virus, and gates of transmission. And lastly, interestingly, according to the Zohar, 13th century Jewish mysticism, COVID is the corona of the phallus. Notice I did that. A corona of the phallus. And it's a technical term within the Sephirotic system, which emphasizes the distinction, get this, between the first and the ninth Sephirah. Sephirah is a vessel of light, and Kabbalistically speaking, it's how the world was created, right? So 1 and 9. And so it's just so bizarre when we go back and we start to think about it. It's Kavod 19, COVID-19, and really embedded within the very structure of the language, the history, the etymology, and the references. All of the stuff. So I love that music, and
no, thank you, ADEENA. And by the way, I want to thank you again, Steve Hicks, for sharing this source. And in fact, he said, what fascinates me is the use of sound to study a physical phenomenon. This reverses the common use of a microscope, which is a visual tool, to study microscopic phenomena. That was developed to study the structure of the virus at the RNA level, music based on a fractal cure. So it's very interesting. So the idea of,
you know what, Paolo, we're not. It's not a way to study it. And when we talk about study, and we have to turn it into a kind of visual image. Even sound cannot be studied unless it's turned into some kind of visual graph. So this is really turning it into what passes for an art form. And I can see, from the comments, some people find that it works for them, and perhaps others do not. I wonder what Tom thinks, since he's actually a musician. How does this strike you,
Tom?
It did not sound like what is happening. It did not sound like what a virus is causing as a pandemic. It maybe sounds like our experience, alone in our solitude in these places that we are while we're talking to one another through devices. But it was a sort of peaceful, serene piece of music, and I don't think what the virus is doing is peaceful and serene.
I was saying.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't feel the intensity and the pain and it wasn't it didn't emotionally register for me. It was interesting, like psychologically, but I hear you.
Terence?
Yeah. Of course, there's a choice, right? There's a choice being made about what kind of instrument to use. So I think a different instrument and a different sort of edge to it could turn it into, if it were like an Ozzy Osbourne guitar solo, it might sound very different with the same
different attitude, right.
Yeah, this is what I was going to say. No commercial potential there. I don't see this breaking the top 10.
Definitely no commercial potential. But anyway, so it's interesting to think about how this phenomenon is sparking and inspiring interpretations. And by the way, so I see folks, actually a lot of comments tonight. And let me just, Mike, without a host, the virus isn't bad and it doesn't have agency. So it's not malicious by itself. So it's the host that makes the virus malicious, right, Mike? I think it's your thought there. And by the way, what a best response in Robert, by the way. Actually, the virus is asymptomatic and therefore dormant in most of us, since the quietness is appropriate. And Ellie Truelance, the instrument and the tempo were both choices by the composer. Altering this could make a big difference in the feel of the piece. I think, if I recall well the article, tempo was a kind of component which was part of the RNA sequence. I don't know how they were able to extrapolate the tempo for that piece. However, so again, there is a artistic interpretation over there, but again, it sparks that puzzles that there is a real sequence over there. And by the way, Frank Zappa said, timbre is everything. The frame, yes, the frame of the sound. So, talking about frame of sound, would you like, friends, to maybe let ADEENA share a little bit of poetry again and see if we can get more and more into this poetic night seminar webinar tonight, ADEENA?
All right, this is a very silly poem.
All right, go ahead.
But, here it is. I was thinking about Trump and the lack of toilet paper and all of the stuff. It's called I Love Clorox and Roll. Between Clorox and a hard place, Clorox me like a hurricane, Clorox a lobster, Clorox my body till it hurts, just Clorox it, Clorox a house, the Casbah, Clorox a town, cause crocodile Cloroxin is something shocking when your feet just can't keep still. So I wanna Clorox with you, hoochie coo, Clorox around the clock, Clorox till you drop, Clorox me all night long, Amadeus, sweet little Clorox and roller, just Clorox the night, Clorox me tonight, Clorox your heart out, and put some viral grime in the jukebox, baby, cause I love Clorox and roll. It's a Clorox and roll fantasy, and I wanna Clorox you will over and over again. You got sweat on your face, I will erase, not waving your droplets all over the place. We will Clorox you, sing it, yeah, everyone's Cloroxing tonight, trance into the geohawks, Clorox, a bob baby, Clorox, all my blues away, Clorox me gently, slowly, with scotch on Clorox, cause Clorox and roll, gonna save the world. Long live Clorox and roll.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
here we are.
And this goes back to how weird it is to not have an audience.
Too long in my house. Oh,
Make some mess, Terence,
Yeah.
Lass, Tom, make some mess. All right.
No more laugh track.
And of course, tons of clap from Alfonso, Mike, Kelly, and many other friends. So it's very generous of you. And by the way, folks, feel free to make some questions for our guest speakers tonight. Okay, so if you have a specific short questions, feel free to share. And instead, my honorable guests, if you want to share some poetry or any other kind of performative piece, so feel free to share. All right, what's going on here? All right, so Lance, Terence, you have some poetry to share?
Sure.
I'm glad you said that because I don't.
All right. Okay.
I got more.
Well, you want to let ADEENA go then? No.
No. I'll go after. I'll go later.
No, Lance, go ahead. I think tonight we are turning into turning into this kind of poetic attitude. I think it's the right mood for tonight's webinar.
Okay.
The crow.
Well, this is one that's going to be included in the collection I have coming out. And it's called A Turn of a Phrase. It's one of the more lighthearted pieces. A turn of a phrase can go on for days. It's a merry-go-round of meaning and sound. A turn of a phrase is a spinning top. It can make you dizzy till it comes to a stop. A turn of a phrase is a Hanukkah dreidel. It won't stand for long. It's fundamentally unstable. A turn of a phrase is a whirling dervish dancing in a manner more than a little curvish. A turn of a phrase is a voyeur's gaze. When you're least aware, it makes you stop and stare. A turn of a phrase is a crazy carousel. Ride the painted ponies and fall under its spell. A turn of a phrase is a spinning wheel. If you prick your finger, it might never heal. A turn of a phrase is a turn of the key. It can open your mind and unlock mystery. A turn of a phrase is an endless maze. Just around the bend is another dead end. A turn of a phrase, like a turn of the screw, tightens its grip, trapping me and you. A turn of a phrase is a linguistic maelstrom, a whirlpool of words you may never escape from. A turn of a phrase is like the earth on its axis. Day follows night like death follows taxes. A turn of a phrase is a roundabout. Whether you're coming or going, it's hard to get out. A turn of a phrase is a revolving door. Better exit quickly or you'll be in for more. A turn of a phrase is just a phase of language gone mad. It's a passing fad. A turn of a phrase is just circular reasoning. It's gourmet cooking with spices and seasoning. A turn of a phrase is a centrifugal force with great gravity, a weighty discourse. A turn of a phrase swings and sways like a pendulum do. That's English for you.
Bravo, bravo. Great, thank you. Thank you very much, Lance, for sharing. So, and I think, well, we are warming up. So we are very hot, actually, already. And I see, okay, of course, our folks are clapping and sharing their love for you all, my friends, for you, Lance, Elena, clapping, Martin. There's a question for Terence. Terence,
Yes.
is there here, if you did another McLuhan song, what style or genre would you use?
Oh boy, good question.
This is Andrew McLuhan. It's McLuhan's
Oh, okay.
grandson, the son of Eric McLuhan.
Yes. Eric, I dealt with once when they were they wanted the song, and I remember dealing with him, and he was uploading it. Anyway, if another genre, good question. I would say, because country western ballad is so far removed from McLuhan. I'm going to try and think of something. I think it is high time for like a hip hop McLuhan song. I think the world is ready for that now. Don't ask me to do it now because this is not within my.
I mean, anytime, so Sunday.
Yeah, but really, I think that would be the way to go. That or like speed metal. That would be the other way to go.
Nice, interesting.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, so from the talking about where did you go? We have sorry, I lost Tom something. Okay, here Mike is saying knows some limericks. Is that true?
No, it's not. That's Mike being a trickster.
All right, Mike, we forget you. We forgive you. Why not? Oh, okay. And Elena, I think Terence, Elena saying do it. I think it was for Terence, do it, or for Tom. I think for Terence.
But if Tom wants to do a hip hop McLuhan song, don't let me stop you.
I'll have to work on it.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. So I think I was going to share another comment from our folks. Ellie, my high school students are trying to write songs about what they miss right now, and a couple of the groups definitely chose country as their genre, country as maybe meditative, contemplative, a kind of blues meditative genre. Why not country style? The ballad of coronavirus.
Writes itself.
Right, itself. What else? ADEENA. Oh, and by the way, so we lost Tom Cooper, actually, but we were in agreement. So that 9 p.m. He was supposed to leave, and I completely forgot to say bye to him. So Tom, if you're still there, thank you again for being with us tonight, and well, we all thank you for your participation. So Tom Cooper, thank you again. So, and in fact, Elena said country folklore. So all right, 9:36 is time to start punning, making puns, making creations, making creative word play. So usually at about 9:30 p.m. in this series of Monday night webinars, at about 9:30 we start making puns, making creative word plays. So feel free to share, okay? Feel free to share. And Sal say country songs are usually about hard times and misfortunes. So that's perfect. So I think it's time for another ballad for country misfortunes. And Mike said it's when everyone gets loopy. Yep. All right.
I have a short poem that's basically a couple puns about COVID.
Go ahead. Absolutely.
So it's kind of like it's very short, but it's just called I remember. And I remember when remote learning was about navigating the clicker, when social distancing was ghosting and masks were for theatrical affect, when every day I didn't feel like Rapunzel, Juliet, Jonah, and Lady Macbeth in equal turns, and flattening the curve was to watch one's carbs. I remember the feel of your skin, the taste of your lips, mouth, belly, the arch of your back, when wearing latex was part of BDSM and hot passion, when the longest lines were those of text. Remember when only language was a virus.
Wow. Thank you. We had a little bit of audio glitch in the meantime that made your performance even more interesting. I don't know what happened.
The sirens of New York City. The ambulances. I keep going up and down the street. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And by the way, talking about poetry in the quarantines, I'm not sure. I'm sure actually. You saw this. Let me see if I can share. Hold on. If I can share my screen, I'll select a window. StreamYard entire screen. No. StreamYard. Nah. Entire screen. All right. I think. What's going on here? No, I couldn't make. Oh yeah, here. Okay, yeah. You see, this is the first. Can you see it? Right? Can you see the first lines of emails I've received while quarantine? And so they made a poem, right? In these uncertain times, as we navigate the new normal, Are you willing to share your ideas and solutions? As you know, many people are struggling. I know you're up against it, the digital landscape. We share your concerns. As you know, many people are struggling. We hope this note finds you and your family safe. We've never seen anything like this before. Here are 25 distance learning tips. As you know, many people are struggling. Feeling fiesta today, happy Taco Tuesday. Calories don't count during a pandemic. Grocery report flour shortage as more people are baking than ever. As you know, many people are struggling. Count your blessings, share your blessings, get free curbside pickup or ship your house. Chicken lemon art cooks, and you know, many people are struggling. How are you inspiring greatness today? We have a cure for your cabin fever. Pandemic dial-in town hall tonight. As you know, many people are struggling. Mother's Day looks a little different this year. You are invited to shop all jeans for 50% off. Yes, buy. I'll get one free. As you know, many people are struggling. Call us, discuss, and loan extension without penalty. Act now. Tell Congress charters should not line their pockets during the COVID crisis. Now shipping face masks as recommended by CDC. As you know, many people are struggling. This is not normal. And again, so this is way COVID, the new normal inspired kind of poetry. And I wanted to share mine as well. So you find Jessica Salfia on Twitter. What's going on? 1949. Let me see what's going on the Facebook comments. When you play country music backward, you get your farm back, your dog is ill, your wife comes back to you. So hopefully, yes, why not, Sal? And Bernadette shares that language is a device. Yes, we believe so, as a thinking device. Sure, language, because you have to know that between Bernadette and Miles, there is an ongoing discussion. I don't know how many comments and messages they are sharing with each other. And so it's nice, right? There is a gathering of people sharing thoughts. So, any other comments from Terence, Lance? Where are you? Here we are. Here you are.
Oh,
Terence, you're muted, so you have to unmute yourself. Terence, we can't hear you. Unmute yourself. Here we are. Great.
Okay, I just said the most brilliant thing ever, and now I forgot it. So, well, my mic was muted conveniently. Okay. Do I have anything interesting to add? I can't. No, not right now. I haven't been this intellectual in like 20 years. I gotta say. I really like. This is a new experience for me.
And okay, so now I think let me. All right, here. So it's time to share, I think, before the final merry-go-round, the final remarks for tonight's show, tonight's streaming, poetry gathering, and so on. Let me share something for the whole community that we're going to host. So we are hosting the Monday night webinars till early July. And we're going to celebrate on July the 20th. This is a brand new premiere for our Monday night webinars, folks. So please pencil, take a note, save the date. July the 20th, Global Village Day. Global Village Day, a 12-hour McLuhan-esque marathon, streaming marathon, exploring the post-pandemic world, exploring the lockdown age, featuring special guests from all around the globe. So basically, so check it out, www.globalvillageday.ca, July the 20th, from noon to midnight. Toronto time. So from noon to midnight for 12 hours, involving folks from Japan, Russia, China, Europe, Italy, of course, and then US, Canada, Brazil. So we're going to celebrate an intellectual marathon to make sense of this current scenario and sharing, retrieving the Marshall McLuhan's tradition, sharing thoughts on the post-pandemic world. And because it's July the 20th, and the marathon will end at midnight, we will we will celebrate Marshall McLuhan's birthday, which is July the 21st. So please take a note, save the date, July the 10th, a 12 hours marathon from noon to midnight, Toronto time, East time, Toronto time. So it will be a great gathering of people all around the world to celebrate the Marshall McLuhan's legacy, to make sense of this current state of isolation, and again, so to retrieve the sense of togetherness that we are fostering in this Monday night webinars. So again, so you are all invited to join us July the 20th, Global Village Day, 12 hours, globalvillageday.ca. We have already a lineup of speakers, so we're filling. So feel free to share ideas. So please let me know if you have any ideas for the Monday night, for this Monday night marathon. It's gonna be Monday, July the 20th. If you have ideas, please reach me out, paolo.granata@utoronto.ca. So I'll be very, very happy to get your ideas. Okay, so it's time to design together this unique ever first global marathon to celebrate Marshall McLuhan's birthday. Other birthdays, I know there are other birthdays on July the 21st, and again, so we do celebrate the Global Village. We do celebrate the Global Village Day in this moment, in this particular crucial moment. Okay, so you all are invited, my friends, including you all tonight, my special guests. So I really look forward to hosting you again on July the 20th. It's gonna be a huge marathon for celebrating the McLuhan's vibrant spirit of the Global Village. All right, so 9:47, it's time for a final merry-go-round. So a few final remarks to conclude this variety of thoughts tonight, and poetry and music and sounds and so on. Let me start. Tom, what's your a brief final remark from the lockdown age, the folklore and the PandeMedia of the lockdown age?
Well, first, I didn't know I was going to be on tonight. Had I known, I probably would have turned on the lights and maybe worn a tie. But and I really tuned in because I wanted to hear ADEENA's poetry. I hear Lance all the time, so it was really great to see her and hear her, and it's always just a spectacular experience. And Paolo, I thank you for doing this, because again, this is a way for us to connect and be together, such as it were. I wish I could see all of the people who are chatting on the side, some of my friends, and let's keep doing this. This is great. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And Lance, what's your final remark? And by the way, I didn't share your. If you wish, I can screen your quote, your McLuhan's quote.
That's
which is, maybe I read your mind. There are no passengers on the spaceship Earth. And by the way, but we didn't do the high five. Like, give me 5 this way. Now here. All right. Oh no, great. all right. So there are no passengers on spaceship Earth. We are all crew. That's a milestone in the McLuhan's.
I picked that quote out. I mean, partly I like it because Spaceship Earth is not a McLuhanism, it's Buckminster Fuller. And it's sort of a gloss on Fuller's idea. He came up with it, I believe, inspired by the photos. We're inspired by the photos from Apollo 8, which for the first time showed us the planet in its entirety from a distance from out in space, and realizing how fragile it is and all of that. And so McLuhan's gloss is that there are no passengers on Spaceship Earth. We are all crew. And that seems all the more important right now. I've been having some discussions, part of the International Bateson Institute, Nora Bateson's group, and we've been talking about some of these things about interdependence. And it seems to me that there's way too much talk in that respect about things like trust and caring, like wear your mask to show that you care. And to me, that's just like the wrong idea, that it's not about caring. It's what we have to do. You know, it's like the heart doesn't trust the lungs to deliver air, right? I mean, we work together. And so it's really about obligation rather than caring, because if it's caring, it's just, well, maybe I care or maybe I don't. And it's, you know, caring is the root meaning of charity, and charity is voluntary. It's like, you know, either I'm magnanimous and I'm going to give, or, you know, it's like, fuck you. I don't give a shit about you, and I'm not going to share anything. What's mine is mine. And I remember Chris Nystrom once said that she had a student from Japan who explained, you know, this is in regard to Sapir-Whorf, that in Japanese she couldn't say my boyfriend took me home. She could either say my boyfriend was obligated to take me home, or my boyfriend did me the favor of taking me home. That you have to distinguish relationship. It also makes me think of the difference between, in Judaism, the equivalent of charity is the word tzedakah, but it doesn't mean caring, it means obligation. You know, we literally are commanded to do these things. It's not voluntary, it's not a choice. And too much of what we think, you know, is going on is about your choice and my choice, and not enough about the fact that we are all interconnected on Spaceship Earth and on the global village. And you can't just walk away. You can't just shelter yourself and say, right, I mean, I'm an island, right? And nothing else is going to matter. We can't do that.
We are interconnected, absolutely. And we cannot escape, right? There's interconnection, I think. Yeah,
I also like the saying, there's no planet B. You know, there's no plan B. There's no
planet B. Yeah. I heard that on the Greta Thunberg Fridays for Future. So there is no planet B. It's a nice pun. It's a nice McLuhan's pun. And so thank you for sharing, Lance. Thank you very much. Your final remarks. Let's move on. ADEENA, final remarks, maybe another short piece of poetry, another short remark. It's up to you.
Yeah, well, first, in response to Lance, which was pretty funny because I was going to pick the very same quote, and I was just thinking about, you know, we have to be vigilant, not a vigilante, but the pro, I think, you know, at this very moment, you know, I want to echo
you sent me this one, ADEENA. Once you see the boundaries of your environment, there are no longer the boundaries of your environment.
First we build with tools, then they shape us.
Oh, yeah. John Culkin.
I talk about that, but I just like, you know, because I am about to embark tomorrow to start teaching another Zoom class from Pratt University. And I was just like thinking about our ever evolving digital technologies and media practices, and like whether that be Zoom or all these new things that are erupting, and the reshifting modes and manners of communication, and how with the new technologies available to us, we both hunt and gather and recreate and disseminate information in new ways. And the technology itself, just like McLuhan's quote is, first we build them and then they shape us, really asking us to rethink how we perceive and recreate not only visual and acoustic space, but our world, transforming the ways that we speak and act and think and feel. And in many ways, our technology does force us to live mythically. Now, as the truth is, as we all know, an ever-shifting entity with a viral spread of information, and nothing is what it seems, and everything is shifting, whether through death tolls or vaccinations or effects or the weight of surfaces, masks, gloves, distances, what have you. Moment to moment, facts are always in flux, and thinking about how fact also, and how fact from the Latin facere is also means to make and to shape. So at its very root, the word fact is always in fact fiction, and it is our tools, our technologies, which for better or worse, really amplify or magnify this very point. And so I just wanted to really, think about McLuhan in this way and see how we are so incredibly shaped by our technologies.
Yeah,
and
And we are keen to explore the boundaries of your thoughts. So thank you again, Adeena. Thank you. And finally, merry-go-round, Terence.
Yes.
So I was just realizing. So it's about you did that the Ballad of Marshall McLuhan about 30 years ago, right? So it's after 30 years. It took 30 years for you to come into a McLuhan's community, thanks to the coronavirus pandemic lockdown and so on.
This is what it takes. Yeah.
Thank you, first of all. And what's your final remark? What's your final thoughts out of this webinar, Monday night webinar?
Well, one thing I would like to end with is we never got to my object. So.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah,
Let me see.
We're going to do that right now. Now, all this talk of masks, and by the way, I agree with everyone, but masks is just something that you have to do. It's not about whether you're nice or whether you're weak or who cares? You just do it. It's science. So this is my mask, and I'm glad that it arrived today. This is, all the geeks out there will recognize this as a Doctor Who mask.
Wow.
And that's
super cool.
and this is my contribution. If we have to do it, and we do have to do it, I'm going to make it fun in my own little way. But do it. Whether you make it fun or not, just do it.
Yeah, well said. Absolutely. I totally agree. All right. And I think, as usual, we do, let me put, firstly, final, hold on 1 second. Firstly, final remark for the next Monday night webinar, June the 1st, with Kathy Adams, Caroline, Ernest, Jacqueline McLeod-Rogers, and B.W. Pau from Spain, and then other guests from US and Canada. So for sure, hopefully I'll see you next week. I hope to see you next week for the next Monday Night Seminars webinar. So then I will put the Global Village Day, save the date, July the 20th, 12 hours marathon, McLuhan-esque streaming marathon, live on Facebook and YouTube from noon to midnight Toronto time. We're going to cover all throughout the world or across the world to celebrate the Global Village Day in an age of lockdown, and to celebrate the Marshall McLuhan's birthday at midnight Toronto time. We will cheer with a bottle of wine or something. So, and again, let me show you my dear friends for tonight. Who we are. Adina, where are you? Here. What's going on?
That's the best shot.
Meantime, it's so nice. So 9:59, perfect timing. Thank you, all my friends. Thank you for another great webinar, my friends, my folks in the Marshall McLuhan's Facebook group, the YouTube, the McLuhan Institute YouTube channel. Thank you, Andrew McLuhan and the McLuhan Institute. Thank you all on Facebook, on YouTube. We look forward to seeing you again next Monday, 8 p.m. as usual. And thank you. Round of applause for Terence BOWMAN, Lance STRATE, ADEENA KARASICK, Tom Gencarelli, special intruder, honorable intruder tonight. And thank you all. Thank you to Tom Cooper, who spent some time with us earlier tonight. And so, again, as usual, I want to wish you the best for this lockdown age. Stay safe. Say hi, my friends. Lance, Terence. Hello, Tom. Hello. High five. We can touch. We can high five. Hello. High five.
Talk to the hand.
Sure. I will.
Great one to close on.
Well, so that's all for tonight. Stay safe. Stay sage. I'll see you next Monday. Buonanotte.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.